folks. Welcome to another edition of the Archershack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
And we're coming to you from the Archery Shack. If it's your first time here, hit the old subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. It'll help our channel grow and more people to chat with us and that sort of thing. And also, if you need a bowstring, use the code word, the discount code podcast15 on archeryshackstrings.com, and we will get you a 15% off bowstring.
Yep.
Y'all doing all right? We tuning in here, starting to rain on us as we record this, but hopefully it won't get too loud. Podcast 76. We have come through a week of pretty cold weather here in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a tiny bit of snow tonight. I kind of doubt it, but
Yeah.
I think just barely north of us, they're going to get some. So
That's the way it always happens. North of 85, as they always say?
Mm-hmm. So that'll be cool for them. I think we'll still get one before too long.
Yeah, I do too. Normally it's always around the end of February, end of March when we get ours.
Next week, the Tennessee Total Archery Challenge registration is going to open.
Yep.
So that'll be cool. We're planning on going.
Yep.
I talked to several people this week. There's no indication right now that they'd have to cancel it. So I think we're going to go ahead. Last year we kind of were holding back. This year I feel pretty good about it. We're going to go ahead and just register and roll with it. So
Yep.
if you've never been to one, they go all over the country. Check it out, totalarcherychallenge.com. I think it's the website, but they got some neat stuff. It's long yardage shots up mountains and hills and down. I mean, they got like 5 courses. You know, they'll have a super easy one that's close, and then some that are out to like, we shot the 112 or 16 yards.
Yeah. They done changed the name on us. But the ones we shot, they still have the prime course, but I think they changed. I know the Sitka. Did they change the name of the Sitka?
I'd look, but I forgot.
I can't remember, but
It's just different sponsors, I reckon.
yeah. Those were 60 to the. Let me make sure I get this right. The muddy courses, it was called. No. I'm sorry, we didn't do muddy. That was one we was gonna do last year, but the prime course was 60 to 100. And the Sitka was 75 to 100, but we had a 116-yard buffalo.
Yeah, it was cool though.
Oh yeah.
Luckily for us here at the shop, we can shoot 100 yards, and we can even back up and shoot further. So I wouldn't mind maybe practicing a little more at like 100 yards before we go this time.
Yeah, me too. Make sure everything's dialed in.
They moved indoor nationals to the Yankton NFAA facility. I just seen, because of all the COVID stuff, and I guess South Dakota has really just stayed open is what I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
So that'll be cool. At least they're still having it, although there's not much indoor. They're doing that Rumble. What is it called? The Rushmore Rumble.
Yeah.
It'll be coming up for too long.
Now I've been seeing on Facebook and stuff. Are they doing a 5-spot Vegas target? Or is that just an advertisement I'm seeing?
I don't know. I hadn't even looked into it.
I hadn't either. I just seen it pop up, and it's a 5-spot. It looks like a 5-spot Vegas target.
I had just Googled it right when they announced it, but it would be like a 20-hour ride or 18. I forget what it was.
Good
And I was
Lord.
like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But anyway, I don't know what format they're using for it. We had 2 fellas find us on this podcast, which was cool, and came in and bought some bows and stuff this week. So thanks, Avery and Adam, if you're watching. It was good to meet y'all. They drove 2 hours or a little more down here, and I thought that was pretty cool. It's crazy how the internet and YouTube and that stuff just blows my mind.
It really is.
It's crazy. But I've got a few questions here we'll run through and then see where that leads us. Bill sent in a question. He emailed and said, can I set my peep height without my sight being installed? Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. And if we have somebody come in and like we either have to set up a bow or they buy a bow and they're like, listen, I'm taking a sight off my old bow, I hadn't got it, whatever, or for whatever reason they don't have a sight, at a very minimum, when they pull back to set that height, I'll kind of just center my finger between the holes in the riser where the sight's going to be and be like, just kind of look here, and that'll at least get it close.
Yeah.
But it's just according. You still might have to make a minor adjustment.
Yeah.
So, but it's really not too big of a deal. So yeah, you can just you don't want to just kind of be looking anywhere, though. You kind of want to at least be in the general vicinity of where it's going to be at. So, and then you can get into the whole, like, kind of what yardage do you want your peep height perfect at? Because, you know, like, you got to, let's just say a fast eddy and it moves up and down. Your anchor point kind of moves on your jaw or chin or whatever you anchor on there a little bit. And the general consensus is kind of somewhere in the middle, you know, like, when I used to shoot some field shoots, you know, you'd shoot out to like 80 yards. So I'd want my peep pretty comfortable at like 40-ish. And then I'd be a little crunched up at 20, and then I'd be kind of lower jaw 80. But if you were to set it comfortable at 20, you might be like below your jaw at 80. So you just got to kind of, stuff you don't really think about. But let's see here. Alan, I think this was Instagram. Could you guys talk about the cost of starting an archery club? None in my area was thinking about starting one with a few friends. It's a neat thing. I mean, it is a little more money than a lot of people think. Like, there's two ways you could go about it. I mean, obviously, if you're going to really do it, though, I'd buy some decent targets. And I'd go Reinhardt, McKenzie, or possibly R&W. But you're going to pretty much easily have about $5,000 or a little more in 20 targets. Now, about once a year, I'll see a club going out of business or something on Facebook, and you can buy the range for a little cheaper, but you're going to drive them. But just in general, you're going to spend roughly $5,000 on about 20 targets, and then, you know, and things to think about. It's like, of course, you got to have land. You need some kind of insurance. So, like, usually you can either hook up and be affiliated with ASA or NFAA. I think NFAA is a little cheaper on the insurance, but then, and honestly, it's not a ton of money for that, for just a archery range insurance. I mean, it's not free or nothing, but so you got your insurance, of course, your target cost, and you got to keep the targets up. But ideally, you're bringing in enough money to replace cores and stuff and make a few bucks or put it back into the club. Yeah. And then pretty much you really just need a good solid group of guys, because in our experience, like doing them here, I mean, and we got a nice setup where we can get stuff out quick, but it takes a good while to get everything set up and all your stakes done for different classes. So you definitely want to have a good bit of help. Yeah. And then, like, you know, do you want to offer food? We've been to some shoots that do, some that don't. I mean, I never see a ton of people eating at them or anything.
I don't either.
I mean, a long time ago I did, but so that's not really a big deal. And, you know, get you some water jugs to put out or however you want to do that, or even just sell some Gatorades and snacks. But, you know, for $5,000 to $7,000, you could get a nice little thing going. And that's not counting, like, I don't know if you own the land or if you got to lease it. You know, you'd have to count that in too. But I know I was talking to, this was like a long time ago, somebody with Reinhardt, and we were talking about 3D courses. And they said you pretty much got to charge 50 cents a shot to break even on cores and stuff. I don't know how they came up with that, and I don't know, you know, whatever. But I would say don't be afraid. I mean, don't go wild. But around here, there was a lot of clubs charging like $12 and $15, and I was always like, just charge 20. Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye. And all these, you know, I know golf and archery are complete separate things, but all these people go play golf and spend a good chunk of change. I don't see it being a big deal. Now, I would recommend pretty much any club we go to, I've seen them do this. You know, it'll say with a family, the max you're going to pay is $40 or $50 or whatever. Yeah. Like John that helps us, he's got 4 kids. So if him and his wife and 4 kids go, it could cost them a fortune. But if there's like a $40 or $50 cap, they're good, you know. So I would recommend doing that. But, you know, that's pretty much it.
If you're going to serve food, just be sure you check, make sure you ain't got to have any kind of permit. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of that might be an added cost in there.
That's pretty much, you know, and from what we've found, you know, I would say start with like the 20 targets. Another thing I didn't think about is if you're anywhere near where an ASA shoot goes, they sell all the ranges, and the ranges come with 20 targets and the replaceable cores. So I mean, they're going to be shot because a big tournament came through, but you've still got some usable cores in them plus brand new ones, and I hadn't even looked this year. They keep going up, but it's somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000. I think you can get those, but you got to be there when that tournament's over on that Sunday with a trailer or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you got range F, go get it, and roll. So that's another option. Not a bad option.
No.
And it's one more thing to talk about. A lot of like hardcore ASA people only want to shoot the Delta McKenzie targets.
Yep.
But I would say, from what we've seen, the Reinhardts, I really like them probably better. They got just more texture in like the fur, and they're more, to me, a little more rubbery. I don't know, but you need to kind of think of that. Like, if you've got a lot of, I mean, we've had people come shoot here because we got a mixture of all the three I mentioned before. And, I mean, I know I've had a few people not come back because they're like, y'all don't just shoot McKenzie's. And I'm like, well, we're not trying to target we're more targeting just bow hunters. But if you got that group of people that's going to want that, it's probably worth just getting them to start with, because the bow hunters don't care what you shoot, But
as long as they shooting a 3D target, that's all that really matters.
Tony says, looking at prime bows, can you guys talk about the difference between the Logic versus the Black 1 versus the Nexus 2? Let me think. Well, just quick differences is, the Logic is a set draw length. I don't know if you're buying new or used. The Logic set, so you got to change a whole cam. You're looking at like $200.
So are the CT series.
Yeah. So the Black 1 and the Nexus will adjust. The Nexus has got that. Here's a 6 sitting here now, matter of fact. It's got the, the grip with the fancy space gel under it and all that stuff. I mean, they're very similar bows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to know the situation without talking to you. Like, it's one of those, if you came up on a Logic that's a super killer deal and it's your draw length, I wouldn't walk away from it.
Yeah.
But if you want to play with the draw length, and, it's just according. I mean, they're different. And if I could get any of them, it'd definitely be the Nexus. But if I wanted to save a few bucks and you can get the Logic cheaper, get the Logic.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And I mean, there's little fine differences between them, but not a ton. Matt asks, am I crazy for wanting to hunt with a Hinge release?
No, you're not crazy at all. There are a lot of people out there that shoot a hinge or a back tension that deer hunt, turkey hunt, you name it. I mean,
my thing is, like, if that's what you're shooting year round, you're used to it, you're probably not going to fling one out into outer space accidentally. No. Like me, I'm pretty much used to a wrist strap, so you probably ain't going to catch me hunting with it. But if that's what you all the time shoot, and that release, you'll be fine. I mean, I know a few people that do.
Now, if you want to shoot it for deer hunting, now would be the time to start. If you hadn't got one, now would be the time to get one and start practicing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're not crazy at all. A lot of people do.
George asks, I'm brand new to archery. How do I read these spine charts? So, I don't know what arrows you're shooting, but if just the easiest free way to do it, let's just say Gold Tip. Go to their website, they'll have a spine chart section, and the spine charts, Gold Tip may have, I think they do have one where you can type in your information now, so that's even better. If it'll let you type in all the stuff, but I think you're talking about the actual chart. The charts usually go off just 100 grain tip.
Mm-hmm.
So you might need to adjust for that. That's where the automated stuff comes in, because it calculates all that. But you just pretty much find your peak weight, come down the column, find your arrow length, and then it'll tell you what you need. If you've got a few bucks to spend, ArchersAdvantageOnline.com. I think it's like $10 or $12 a year. You can go on there and fine tune. Like I'm shooting, it'll really fine tune it in. I'm shooting this fletching, this knock, this exact tip weight. And especially if you're wanting to shoot a heavier tip, like we've had a lot of folks come in 125s, 150s, and even more. And you're going to have to kind of finagle with a spine chart, the paper one. So just go in there and type all that in, and it'll boom, it'll show exactly what to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the easiest way. But I know one of the live feeds back in the summer, somebody mentioned, I think it was Victory, had a nice automated spine chart, and I got on there and it popped up everything.
Victory has one, and Gold Tip has one too.
So that would be the easiest. But I was thinking, used to with aluminum arrows, and if you're not familiar with aluminum, there was, like 20 or 30 plus sizes of aluminum for each little bitty change in weight or tip weight. But you'd go to that spot. I've still got one somewhere. It was a huge chart that they would send the dealers, and it'd be like, all right, are you shooting recurve or compound? You'd pick it, and then if you're shooting a compound, is it a hard cam or is it a soft cam? What's your let off? You'd figure all that out. Then it still had another column for like I'm shooting 100 grain, 125, whatever. And then it would give you like 4 options, So that used to be a little more complicated, but
yeah,
I do miss some aluminum arrows sometime. But at least carbon are easy.
Yeah.
Phil says, I've never been to a 3D shoot before. I'd like to try one in my area. What should I prepare for?
It's one of those that just really, first off, depends on the time of year. So, like right now, you definitely, if you go early in the morning, you might want to wear some warm clothes and, just make sure you got some water or, some snacks or something like that. And
you plan on walking probably, just on average, 20, 25 targets, probably, I don't know how far we walk, to be honest, half a mile to a mile.
Yeah, something like that. Just depending on the course.
And each course is different. We've been to courses that's completely flat, and then we can ride a little over an hour up here into western North Carolina, and they got some super duper hills that you're going to be panting on. So you're just plan on walking, carrying your stuff. I would at least take a hip quiver, to put your arrows in. And if you get into it more, a lot of folks carry these little shooter stools. It's a little fold-out seat with a quiver on the side, so you can put your arrows and your drinks or whatever you want to carry in there and throw it on your back. And then, shot-wise, a lot of people's went to known yardage. So unless you want to, you can use a rangefinder. And, it's according to your setup. If you're just shooting a hunting bow, there's different classes, so you can say, listen, I want to shoot the bow hunter class, and a lot of those around here are like 35, 40 yards max. Or you can, there's other ones that'll go out to 50, but you're really not going to see anything past 50 at a local shoot.
No.
So, that's kind of your yardages. And then it'll just be all kind of, I'm sure you've Googled it, all kind of different foam animals you'll shoot at. So it's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend it. And another thing is, when you get there, if you're just going by yourself, it's easy to just, usually before you start the course, they'll have like a little practice range with some bag targets or whatever. Shoot the bull with somebody and go with their group or whatever, and they'll show you the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how many times me and TJ will be at the practice bags firing a few shots, and 1 or 2 people come up and be like, "Hey, we don't have anybody to shoot with. Can we shoot with y'all? Yeah, come on." And then we'll buddy up with them and chat. And I don't know. It takes how long? Roughly 2 or 3 hours to shoot a course.
It just depends on. Really depends on a lot. Saturdays are going to be a little bit more. Going to be a few more people. So on a Saturday, depending on what time you get there. If you get there around the lunchtime, you're probably going to be, it's probably going to take you a good 2.5, 3 hours. But that's on a typical 25 target course. If it, and if you got any questions, like Jeremy said, you talk to the guys at the shooting bay or talk to the guys in the clubhouse. When you go to pay and register to shoot, they're more than happy to do anything they can for you. And
one thing I didn't say, like, you have your target, and then most places will have some kind of colored stake in the ground. So it'll be like, all right, I'm shooting bow hunter class. It's the green stake. So when you come to the target, you'll find the green stake sticking up. That's where you'll shoot from.
Yep.
But and I don't know if you're local, Phil, but if you are, you can Google SC Archery Association, and it has all their clubs in South Carolina. Or you can also just look up Kiwi Bowman or Tab Archery, the Archery and Bow Club. They got Facebooks and websites. They're very good places to shoot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're local or not. Chris asks, I have a hard time not gripping my bow. Any suggestions on how I should change my grip? We see this a lot. I feel like probably 70 to 80% of trouble people have with like paper tuning, bare shaft tuning, any kind of tuning is them doing something with that grip.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, the old school thought was like, hold that hand open.
Yeah.
But what that does is it actually really tenses up those tendons, and it shifts it to it's just not in a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
And so if you got your hand open, I don't care if you got a wrist sling or not, when you shoot, you're grabbing it. You know what I mean? I don't see anybody shoot with their hand open and the bow fall and it grab it by the wrist sling. I've never seen that. So my suggestion is pretty much tuck those 3 fingers in. I'll put my pointer finger on the front of the bow, because even if I squeeze a little bit, I'm not making a left-right torque squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing it back into my hand, and then I'm putting it just dead right down that line in my hand there. And that works for me. I don't have a problem with people putting all 4 fingers on the front of the riser, not grabbing it, but just putting those fingertips on the riser. You want a comfortable spot that you can shoot every time, but if you're making any movement after the release, you're going to cause a problem ultimately. Or if you're just strangling it, you're going to cause a problem. And then, you don't want to be too far one way or another on your hand either, because that's going like that skin generated torque, it's going to torque that riser one way or another. So you just got to play with it. But what I hate is people come in. We had this happen back in the summer. It was a Matthews bow. It don't matter what bow it is, but I had put a string on it. I had shot it through the paper. He came in. He shot it through the paper, and it went crazy. And I was like, look, okay, let's look here, because I had everything down the center and had tuned on everything. And it turns out he was gripping this bow real bad. So I was like, try this one thing. And I did it, that same grip. Boom, bullet hole. But like, we walk outside or something to set the side or whatever we was doing, he's already back to his old grip. And I'm like, listen, I know you've shot this way for a long time, but if you want this thing without either taking the center shot out of whack or doing something crazy, you're going to have to change your grip and keep it that way. But I think it's hard to change because people are just used to shooting their own way.
It is. I mean, and he don't know if you shoot with a wrist strap or not wrist sling or not. If you don't, put one on there and see if that helps.
Yeah, some people I used to always shoot one. I mean, and it just gives you that, if I do drop this thing, it's gonna catch. You know what I mean? But yeah, just play around. I'm sure there's all kind of pictures and videos elsewhere, but that's my thing. Tuck those 3 in, 1 finger on the riser, and let her eat. But grip issues are way bigger than people realize.
Mm-hmm. And it don't help nowadays that some of the bows are grip finicky on how you grip that bow.
Yeah, and some bows, you just have to shim it to that person and how they grip it. You know what I mean? And I mean, sometimes that kills me, because like, if we got a bow that like I'll bullet hole, TJ will take it and bullet hole, Partain will take it and bullet hole, and then the customer, it won't bullet hole. I don't want to be like, I'm not touching it, but at the same time, it's definitely you. But anyway, that's my thing. You definitely don't want to be gripping it. You definitely don't want to be holding that hand super wide open, getting all those tendons tight and it rolling and doing all this stuff. So just a good calm hand. Some people, I used to put my birdie finger on the front of the riser, and again, I can't really torque it. I'm just putting it right on the front. It'd be hard to see. I mean, you're welcome to send us a picture of how you're gripping it, and we'll kind of chat with you. But Tom says, what is a good age to get kids into archery? It's a fine line. I'd say like really, let's get into it big time, 7-ish.
Yeah.
Because a little younger, and this, I'm not saying you couldn't do it younger, and I'm, like definitely buy them a little recurve or a little play bow or whatever, but once they hit about 7 roughly, you can get them a decent bow and a decent setup, and I think from what I've just seen with kids here, that's kind of when they start paying a little bit of attention and getting it. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to turn around and shoot you in the leg type deal, hopefully. But somewhere in that 7, maybe 8 year range is kind of where I would recommend. And like I say, before that, definitely get them a play bow and get up real close. And even at 7 or 8, that's the trick. Keep them at 10 yards because we see too many dads wanting them to come back to 20 and 30, and it's like, listen, they're shooting 25 pounds, and you're discouraging them because they can't hit the freaking
target.
Put them at 10 and cheer them on, at 10. But yeah.
I mean, if you do go younger, I mean, like my little boy, I think he shot. I helped him. It was one of my old bows when I was little. I got out there and helped him pull it back, and he was 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
But there again, he likes it for a few minutes, and then he's a kid.
Yeah.
He sees something else. He was outside. He wants to go play.
Yeah.
And
I've got Joanna a little play bow. She's 3, but my thing. I do not want to like force her or in any way. I don't want her in the long run to hate archery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if she wants to ever pick up a bow, that's great. And if she don't, that's great too. But I don't want to be like, here, do it. So
yeah.
One last question. I am looking into starting my own shop in my area. I have no shops within a 2-hour radius. What kind of money would it take to start a small shop? Any advice, Kenny? I would definitely say if you can get any experience, in another shop. I mean, honest to God, my recommendation would be this. And this is how, like, we have people all the time. You can ask TJ. They'll come here and hang out a few times and be like, man, if you need any help, holler and blah, blah, and they think it's all cool. And
yeah.
But the way to do it would be to say, well, first of all, it's kind of a tricky thing. You don't want the person to think you're going to start a competition. That's the big thing. Like, if a guy come to me and wanted to help for free for a summer and then he's going to start a shop 10 minutes down the road, I'm probably going to be like, But if you're 2 hours from them, it shouldn't be a big deal, especially if you know somebody. But if there's any way possible, even if it's for free, you just go help them in the summer in any way you can. And particularly, not just like an evening when nobody's there thing. You want to be there when the customers are coming in and see the whole picture of this thing.
Yeah. But
other than that, like I say, you may already have experience and you don't need to do that, or you don't have the opportunity. That's fine. Money wise, I'd say about 20 grand would get you started. And I know 20 grand sounds like a lot. Believe me, it is not. 20 grand, you could pick up probably like just get one bow line, get 5, 6. It's according to the bow line. I mean, if they got, I'm going to throw it out there because they got a good selection of prices. PSE, you could get several like stingers that are cheap, a couple kids bows, and then a couple high-end bows. But then, I mean, no joke, by the time, even if you just stock one, of several broadheads and releases and sights, and you're at 20 grand, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get a box in that's a $5,000 or $10,000 box, and it's a tiny little box, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like of hardly nothing. So I'd say about 20 grand, and I would say, I don't know, there's so much stuff. I would say don't, like I've seen somebody got a big shop but didn't have the money or the resources to pack it full of stuff. It's better for somebody to come into a tiny shop that is absolutely slap packed full of stuff than for them to walk in a big shop and it looks like there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
So like, and I mean, location's key too. I don't know. So like here, we're about 10 minutes out of town. We're a little bit off the beaten path, but we've got 100-yard outdoor range. So that's what kind of the trade-off is for us. I know for a fact if we moved into town, we'd sell a whole lot more stuff, but at the most we'd have a 20-yard little range inside.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd rather have what we got. But that's sort of in my opinion, you want somewhere they can at least shoot 20 yards. I don't care if it's outside, inside, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, in town's always better, just to be honest, because there's more people there. And, that's just how it works. I'm trying to think. A range will not make you, indoor range won't make you a whole lot of money. I'll be honest. When we were at Bucks and Bass, we had a nice 20-yard regular indoor range and a digital range. And if you look, that digital range stayed packed for 2 months out of the year.
Yep.
But for 10 months out of the year, crickets.
Yeah.
So if you look at the overall whatever, we'd have been a lot better to just put freaking clothes or something in there for sale. You know what I mean? Like,
mm-hmm.
So if you got the opportunity, do the range. But, if you do run leagues and run something every week or a couple times a week, but I wouldn't really focus on having an indoor range, just at least be able to step out the door and sight somebody's 20-yard pin in if possible. That's kind of the way people feel. From what we've seen, people feel a lot better when you can, let's just say a guy that hadn't changed his bow setup in 10, 15 years comes in, sees the fast eddy, really likes it, but he don't, and we see this all the time, he has no clue on how to set this thing up. And we're like, listen, buy it. We'll go out here. It won't take 10 minutes. We'll have you sighted in with the sight tape.
Yeah.
We've seen that goes a long way.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that aside, but yeah, 20 grand.
I don't know. I think you're going to have to bump it up a little bit because, there's so much because by the time you get a press, you got to buy, if you go last chance, you got to buy the Hoyt adapters for the Hoyt
mm-hmm.
bows. That's extra cost. So, you might be up somewhere around, I would say, 30 now.
I'm just thinking.
Bare basic, 20.
Rough. I'm just thinking about and he didn't say anything like any of his situation. He may already have some presses and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you had to buy just a simple vise, a press, I'm just trying, you'd easily have $1,000 just in what you need to work on stuff.
Yep.
Easy. And then, like I say, bows, it don't take much at all to add up some mega bucks with bows. But, that's another thing to talk about. Like, you need to see, well, if you're 2 hours away, you're good to get anything.
Pretty much.
But definitely kind of know your market, what's selling. Just to be honest, I see a lot of little shops pop up on Facebook that's in like a basement type deal, and they'll pick up just sort of an obscure brand. And I don't mean to sound negative. I seen one last year. A guy was in his basement doing Athens bows. Great bow. But we have never had anybody walk in here and wanted an Athens bow. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying if we didn't have a few, somebody might buy one, but and I just from me reading along and keeping up with him a little bit, I think he kind of thought, I'm gonna get 5 Athens bows and put $2,000 or $3,000 of accessories in here, and I'm set. I'm gonna make some money. He ended up, he didn't even last the summer. He put everything it cost and blowed it out, and he was gone. But
yeah.
So I don't know. Like I say, it's I don't know your situation, but if you can not make that your full-time thing for a couple of years and let it grow, that's a plus. Because if you're dependent on that for income, you probably gonna need to spend a lot more than 20 grand to get going. But you're gonna want bows that everybody you definitely needs kids bows, lower end bows and high end bows. But getting hooked up with a good bow brand is a big part of the battle. And then, but that's the other thing. Let's just say they all got requirements, but if you try to hook up with a bow brand, that they always have a minimum that you've got to order. So you got to think about that, and it's usually a decent amount for for a bigger brand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So 20 to 30,
easy.
To 30. But I'm just sitting here thinking of all the stuff. There's just so much stuff, and that's not even counting like if you have to buy fixtures. Like every shop's different. Like we don't do the glass cases. I kind of feel like that's old school now. But if you did glass cases, or if you got to put up any kind of pegboard or slat board or whatever, in TVs, half the time I don't remember to turn it on. But if we're back here working on a guy's bow. I usually keep like a reel of hunting stuff or whatever going on the TV, so he can look around and kind of watch TV, whatever.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. You know, you don't have to have it, but some sort of cash register type system, just all that comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would recommend, if you could get to an ATA show, you could talk to every vendor there, kind of figure out your game plan. It's at the first of the year. You could kind of make your orders then, have the rest of the year to kind of figure out stuff. But, you know, if you got the option of when to open it, if you could do it late spring, early summer, that would probably be beneficial, because once you get into later in the summer, the real busy season hits. So you wouldn't just be sitting around with potentially no customers. You should ramp up pretty quick. But, you know, it's just, there's so much stuff in the social media, posting stuff. There's just so much stuff to think about.
It is.
But yeah, 20, 30 grand. And that's not like I'm doing it in my extra bedroom and buying 2 bows. That's actually a little decent shop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Trying to think of what else to tell you. You can call us or something. We'll chat.
And a lot of it's trial by error too.
It is. It really. I mean, you know, products. You know, you'll buy it and this is gonna be the hot thing, and then it's like, oop, we messed up.
Yeah.
Everybody's wanting this other one. But but yes, it's just, we got a phone caller.
Oh Lord.
I don't know if you can probably hear it through this.
I don't know who it would be. Spam caller.
We'll let it ring and we'll bullshit tomorrow. I'll cut this part out.
I must have hung up.
Anyway, we're back. The phone rang. But that's all the questions I had. And what else can we talk about? That's if you're new, I should have said this at the beginning, but we do our live little chat on Thursdays around 6 o'clock. If we got people in here, sometimes it goes a little bit after 6 when we start, and sometimes if it's sort of dead, we'll start a little early. But jump on there, check out our chat with us on Thursday nights. It's kind of cool because we got enough people that come on now that we just pretty much get on and chat with everybody. You know, they'll ask questions, and I like it. I like it a lot. But we need to get us, I guess, a couple people. Randy had mentioned getting on here again. Get us a couple people, some guests on here. But
I know I seen something. I think he shot him a pig the other day. I think if I seen right.
A piggy. But yeah, we'll have some more videos coming out soon. Got a decent amount of 3D shoots coming up around here, so we try to hit. If it's not raining, we usually have to shoot on Sunday because we're here on Saturday and that sort of thing. But you know, if you ever want to go with us and you're local, holler at us. We're happy to go with you, or you go with us, however it works out. But anyway, we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for listening. You got anything else?
We forgot the giveaway.
Oh yeah. We're doing a giveaway of if y'all know on our live feed.
Muddy
Ducks gets on there. She makes these custom tumblers, like epoxy coated tumblers. I'm gonna do my best to remember to bring one Thursday on the live feed to show it. I mean, these things are like
nice,
very nice. They look like something. And anyway, we're gonna give one away last Thursday of the month. I'll put the link in the description. Just go in there. You just put your name, email address. We just dump them in a bucket, pull one out. So and you can design whatever you want. You know, you can tell her I want Oompa Loompas on it, or we don't care, but you'll get it for free and ship for free and everything. We're paying for it. Last month we gave away some Black Eagle eras, and I think we're gonna start doing like a once a month, end of the month giveaway. I think that makes it easy. But anyway, definitely enter that. A couple of weeks we'll draw for that. And anything else? I think that's everything.
I think that's it. I can't think of anything.
All right. Thank y'all for watching.
Yep.
And putting up with us. And we'll see you soon.
See y'all.